Is there a Lucas there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
takes
There
us
we
that
go.
extra second for you to catch in, doesn't it?
It's just like turning down the music, like, oh, give me one sec.
Just one moment, please. So how you been, Monfrere? How you been?
I've been pretty good. How about you?
I can't complain. I've had a bit of a mare today. Oh my god, I can tell Lucas has had a rough day because he's drinking like 4 liters of vodka.
Hell yeah. Definitely not just some squash.
That's the one. But I've had a rough day because I had to pay the company taxes today.
Right.
We try to get a head up. We try to get a jump on next year. So I had to pay 10 grand in taxes. Yeah, it's really annoying though how quickly it goes out of your account.
Hmm.
Do you know, like, normally when you pay, you can do contactless and it goes boop and straight out. Because I've already paid my taxes before, I just pressed the button and he went, "Are you sure?" And I went, "Yes." Didn't even ask for any extra comments. It's all out straight away.
It's
The
fucking
government just
ridiculous.
hoovering that money out. Insane. But yeah, welcome to episode 89.
89, yeah.
But we're not sure if it is because we've had like a couple of bonus episodes and then we missed an episode. So it might not even be 89. This might be episode 306. We don't know.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Could be working on episode 900. We don't know, Karl.
We don't know, do we? We could be in like 2034 in like the ashy remnants of society.
And at some point, we'll just get to like episode 131 and go, episodes don't matter anymore. There's no
we're done
numbers.
now.
They don't exist.
Well, that's what happens, isn't it, when it comes to podcasts, like any content really, where if it goes on long enough, eventually you just stop having numbers. Just look at movies. Look at the Saw movies, like Saw, the final chapter.
Yeah.
You might as well just say Saw, we're embarrassed we made this many.
Saw the final chapter, followed by Spiral. It's like, hang on, wait, no.
I think final chapter was also followed by another Saw movie, I can't remember. Or it might be followed by like a comic book or something like that. But yeah, welcome to episode 89 of the podcast, I think. As always, I'm joined by Lucas. Say hello, Lucas.
Hi.
And then cheers to everyone who's currently watching live on Twitch. We'll try and refer to chat as and when we can. And if anyone wants to watch Lucas's side of it, for whatever reason, you can use exclamation point Lucas to find Lucas's half of the stream. Because I
to see the exact same stream, but with a different layout, because that's how we do it.
Because I remembered that and went, oh, because you had that 2 week off, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And taking time off is just a big no-no if you're a content creator online.
Yeah, so like I'm only a small streamer, and I think my subs went from like 60 something down to like 20.
And that's just the nature of being a content creator.
It's one of those things of like, I get it, that's the game, but yeah, that was just, fuck you. You had emergency surgery that you didn't foresee coming. All your subscribers have left you. It's like, oh, right.
It's just that extra level of kicking someone in the balls, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you get out. It's like you get out of the hospital, and then they just kick you in the balls. It must be what it's like to be American. Get out of the hospital, and then just as that extra kick while you're down, like you're literally down on the floor, you need help. Stick that boot in.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Of like, at least I'm just getting an email from Twitch saying all your analytics are fucked up, not a medical bill sent to me that's going to bankrupt me and make me lose all my possessions. So
yeah, it reminds me of potentially the greatest like just one-liner in a TV show in Blackadder, and it's just he's having the worst day of his life. It's like, are you okay, Blackadder? He goes, no, I'm not all right. I feel like I've just been shot by an arrow with a gas bill at the end of it. It's just that extra step of fuck you. Oh, but yeah, like other than that, you recuperating well? You're doing well? Is that snake bite? Is it worn off?
Yeah, they keep checking, the wound to make sure that the poison's coming out, and it seems to be healing up nicely. So,
oh man, that reminds me a little bit of like just referencing old stuff that's not funny. As if we're talking about ourselves. For some reason, I just remembered that joke in The Expendables where they put Chuck Norris in it. Do you remember that one? Do you know the one where Chuck Norris is in The Expendables and they make a Chuck Norris joke?
Do they? Like, I didn't watch The Expendables. I watched The Expendables 1 on like a streaming service, Netflix, whatever, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got about half an hour in when this is just shocking.
They are terrible because Expendables 1, they made it quite violent because a lot of people in it, were in violent 80s action movies.
Mm-hmm.
The second and third one they made in 12A and then started adding like new Expendables in it.
Yes.
Like ostensibly, to continue on the brand. It's like, these are the new heroes. These are the new action stars. Starting with Jason Statham, who's 40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was just a bunch of middle-aged to old men all still being made out to be like the most impressive action stars of all time, and it's like,
And then when they try and bring in the younger generation, they're all either MMA stars or just complete voids of charisma. Or in the case of Ronda Rousey, both. Where she's in that movie and her line reads are terrible. They have a Chuck Norris joke in that where every time they need help, Chuck Norris comes in. And they have like this like John Wayne-esque musical sting.
mhm.
Kind of the wow 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 have like that in the background, and then they say, "I heard you got bitten by a rattlesnake," and Chuck Norris just says, "Yeah, but after 3 agonizing days, the snake finally died." And it's obviously a Chuck Norris joke, but his
Yeah.
delivery is so bad that he ruins the joke.
Oh
And it's
god.
like you can tell why he's not in movies anymore.
Hmm.
This is why he's not in movies anymore because his delivery is fucking awful.
And this just I've got to ask, do you know where the musical Sting for like the classic western, like the do
Ah,
do do,
I would have
you
guessed
know
Good,
where
Bad, and
that
the
comes?
Ugly. I would have guessed Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
That's what I was. That's what I'm assuming in my head, but I didn't know if like that's actually where it is originating from, and that was an original like little stinger, or
It
whether
might be, or it could be one of those things. It's like the Wilhelm scream, where it is
yes.
like an old sound effect that keeps getting reused.
Hmm.
If people don't know, the Wilhelm scream is the one that you always hear in Star Wars. Like
And
ah!
everything.
And the reason I love the Wilhelm scream is because it's from a stock archive that's like over 100 years old now, and the original noise file is called "Man Being Eaten by a Crocodile."
Oh, okay. Yeah. So my chat is confirming it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like it's the
Yeah.
theme to that. So thank
So you
you,
just double
chat.
check. It could have been something like an earlier date, but Good, Bad, and the Ugly popularized it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I hate the Wilhelm scream. I don't know about you. Like, every time I hear it, I roll my eyes.
I liked it in Star Wars. I
Because
like
it's a running gag in Star
because it's a
Wars.
running gag in Star Wars, and like I don't mind the one series having like the in jokes, and so like there are some in jokes in Star Wars that I'm getting really tired of, like everybody being like, "Oh, I've a bad feeling about this one," and it's like,
I have a bad feeling about
all
this. Like,
right, like it's endearing when C-3PO says it, just leave it alone. But yeah, the Wilhelm scream I don't mind in Star Wars, but when you hear it, it's just everything is like, come on.
it's because they want to be in on the joke too, and
Hmm.
nobody wants to be the last movie. Oh, that's the thing. I reckon every movie wants to be the last movie that uses it, so that they can be on the Wikipedia page.
They're
The
not
last
gonna
movie,
stop making Star Wars,
exactly.
Carl.
It's like the record for most car crashes in a movie. It was held for many years by the Blues Brothers. Have you seen the Blues Brothers?
Uh, like yes, but I haven't sat down and properly watched it. I've watched it with on in the background in like
Okay,
while
yeah.
we've had people around and stuff.
I was just like checking. So you've seen like the final chase scene where they just have a scene where it's like, oh, here's an intersection, and we just keep crashing cop cars into it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's so absurd that they do that, and for many years that held the record, and it pisses me off that the current record holder is now GI Joe: Rise of Cobra
I thought
because they
you.
had.
I was assuming it was just a Fast and Furious movie.
It might be now, but they don't often destroy cars in those movies. Remember?
Oh, okay. They show them off to be like
Yeah, they show off
awesome
the cars, don't they?
supercars. Yeah.
And a lot of the manufacturers don't like them destroying their cars. But yeah, it was taken over by GI Joe: Rise of Cobra, and I don't like that because that's such a forgettable movie. Whereas Blues Brothers, it's cool that Blues Brothers has that record in addition to being just a really good movie with a fantastic soundtrack and cast.
And
So
it's really weird to me that like you can make something as stupid as a GI Joe movie forgettable.
yeah, it's just explosions all the way through, and I was still bored of it.
It's the same with Michael Bay Transformers. It's like, how did you take such a dumb, stupid, campy thing and make it boring?
Well, they're making that new Snake Eyes movie out there that
Hmm.
I've not seen anything about that. And the first thing I saw is the poster when he went past on a bus today, and the poster has Snake Eyes on. He's got his mask off. And the only thing I know about Snake Eyes is that the character never takes his mask off. That's the literal only thing that you know about the character. And it's like the trailer's just got it with it off.
The second most anticipated movie of 2021 behind Mobius.
That Mobius movie, that's never coming out. But that's the thing, like Blues Brothers is one of those movies where whenever like, you're at an event or not an event, like you got people around, it's like, should we put a movie on? I always say Blues Brothers.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
people don't remember how good that movie is. And I watched
Hmm.
it with my girlfriend a couple of months ago. And she's like, I've never seen Blues Brothers. What's it about? I went, well, it's about some brothers who play blues. And she's like, okay. And we're watching it, and he's like, that's Dan Aykroyd, yeah. John Belushi. And then the cast list starts coming up on screen.
Hmm.
And it has like Cab Calloway. And she's like, Cab Calloway's in this? Like, yeah, yeah. Stevie Wonder's in this movie. So, oh yeah, Stevie Wonder's like, Aretha Franklin's in this movie. So yeah, she's just in the movie. It's fucking great. She's just like, wait, where are they in the movie? Why are they in this movie? It's a blues movie. It's about blues.
I'm pretty sure it was Blues Brothers that I performed when I was about like 13.
I think every kid in school who was in like drama did either Blues Brothers, Grease, or Oliver.
Think I've been in all three of those.
You've been in all
I
three.
think so.
What's the one? What's your favorite musical then? Because that's what Blues Brothers is, a musical where they have car crashes in it, making it like by default one of the best like musicals.
Believe it or not, as somebody who spent a lot of time doing like youth theatre and acting and studying theatre and stuff, I really don't like musicals very much.
Do you not like musicals?
Not particularly.
Is that because James Corden's in them all now?
Oh well, that doesn't help, does it?
Do you see he was trending this morning because there's a Cinderella movie been announced and it's a musical and he's in it?
The only time I want to see James Corden trending is because everyone's realised he's a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I fucking despise him.
He's an awful. But there's a reason he's not in stuff in the UK anymore. Like he's not on panel shows over here anymore because everyone hates him.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons he went over to America because no one in the UK wants to work with him.
Yeah.
He's basically burned every single bridge. And you get that fantastic moment, I think it's Jimmy Kimmel, where they're playing like a question answer game. And Jimmy Kimmel just looks at him and goes, well, we're in your studio, James. Name one member of the crew. And James Corden can't name a single member of the crew. And he's like, that sums it up, doesn't it? The people who do his fucking makeup every single day.
Oh, God. Yeah, and someone in my chat mentioned like Bugsy Malone. That was another one that, I think we all did. Bugsy Malone.
That film's so good.
Like,
I love the gimmick that it's all kids.
Yeah, and I remember I was like a couple of background characters in Bugsy Malone, and like the first scene where someone gets just like a pie straight to the face, that was me. Just at like moment one of the entire show is just me, like 14-year-old, just getting pie to the face. I was like, great.
Yes. If you know what Bugsy Malone is, it is a musical. Like it's a gangster musical, but all of the parts are played by children. Yeah. Because it's all got kids, they have like, instead of having cars in car chases, they have like little bicycles in them. Like the Anthill Mob from Wacky Racers, and they have like guns that fire foam instead of guns.
Yeah.
And they throw pies in people's faces.
It's very much like Blues Brothers meets like Little Rascals.
It's just one of those things where you can only ever... It's a movie they could never make again, or they could never try and make another one of or recapture the magic. It's like what movie I'm thinking of now? There's another specific movie they could never make another one. It captures. Damn it! Oh, it was in my head then as well. I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you could never make it again because just the energy and just it's so quaint. I adore musicals.
Oh, fair. Like I adore. Maybe just like Disney musicals, but that's because
that's it. All Disney movies by default.
Exactly. So I like them in that sense, but I think it's a lot of the time just the weird disconnect when it's musicals of like very serious topics that then go into song and dance. I get a bit thrown off by the whole thing.
But you like Disney movies
because it's Disney. There's just something about them, isn't there? Like
there's just something
they've nailed me down from a 2-year-old and been like, you will fucking enjoy Disney movies.
That's fair, yeah, but like I'm just a big fan of them because just every now and again, I'll just look up the soundtracks. You're talking to someone here, right, who just got into Glee because I like this. I like the songs.
Yeah,
and I still have like Glee songs in my Spotify playlist, like mixed in there, like Children of Bodom and Dragon Force and stuff like that. And just every now and again, I'll just get like Not the Boy Next Door anymore. I'm like, yeah, let's go, baby. Super good.
I still remember just not enjoying Glee and then having to do Don't Stop Believing, but I had to learn like the Glee version of it because it was a bit easier.
Yeah.
So I was like just listening to that song on loop and loop for like a good couple of weeks to learn the part for it.
Well, Glee's like a really good show to watch just again because like 3 members of the principal cast are like in prison.
What?
Like Joe, the guy with the mohawk,
right? Yeah,
he's in prison for like abusing children or something like that. And then the main guy, Finn, I think he like died.
Oh God.
Like some people died, and then a bunch of people got like put in prison. Like one person drowned. It's like a cursed show.
Bloody hell.
Because I think my girlfriend was watching some old episodes of it, and I was watching it, and she's went, "You know, he's dead." I went, what? He looks like 20 in this. How is he dead? She went, "Look," you went, "Oh my god, he's dead."
The hell.
It's like the first season of the Power Rangers, where like everyone's dead.
What?
Like all the people except for like Tommy and Billy and Kimberly. Do you like the original Yellow Ranger? Like she died.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Finny Tran. And it's like, oh god damn it.
Yeah, like that's the thing, isn't it? It's just one of those things of like, obviously, unfortunately, you don't need to be an old person to pass away or anything, and like you just watch shows like that where the cast is a bunch of younger people and go, I assume
Well,
they're all still alive. Like,
then you have the opposite though when you watch a show and then you think that guy. There's no way that guy's still alive. So that
mm.
happened to me when I was watching Only Fools and Horses,
Oh right,
and I'm
yeah.
like David Jason, who plays that. It's like he's still alive. He's like 85 years old, and it's this when you look at it and go, "Holy shit, that guy's still going."
Mm.
And like, what's the last time you've had something like that where you've just gone, I wonder, like you just Googled an actor's name?
I almost do it like religiously when I watch a movie or something.
Just so when you recognize, like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, and then I'll like look up what else they've been in and stuff. And Cade's gone mental.
Oh, yeah, he's joining in too.
But yeah, like pretty much every time I sit down and watch a movie, I'll go, "Ooh, I recognize that one person. Like, what
Okay.
other things were they in? What do I recognize them from?"
And is the one you've done that recently been surprised by like their IMDb page or anything like that? Have you gone on
Um,
like the IMDb page, like deep dive to see like what have they been in?
there's
Like
been
what else
quite a
have they
lot
done?
lately that I've been surprised they haven't been in more. Like we were watching, I mentioned that we were watching Glow, and
Okay.
I was really surprised that like most of those actresses, I've not seen them in anything else. Like I know the actress that played Knives Chow from Scott Pilgrim, like
She's in it.
she's one of the wrestlers in it, yeah. But for the like Alison Brie as well, I have recognized her from like Community. But for the most part, yeah, a lot of them, I was like, oh, these seem like they'd be in other things, and they just weren't really.
They're all really good actresses and like why they're not being
Hmm.
in more stuff. And then there's like the same time you have actors and actresses who are in everything. Like you have your James Cordens
Yeah.
who are in everything despite not being very good.
Hmm. And then you
And,
just every time I watch that just black hole of a void of personality in something, I'm like, how is this person popular? Like, I guess he was a little bit endearing in Gavin and Stacey, but I just don't know how we got to that level.
and it's more as well. I don't get how he keeps getting big roles
Hmm. Yeah.
because I've never heard anything positive about him.
And then
And
he,
every
like,
time he's
even
in
for
something,
example, with Cats, where he's sitting there shitting on it and the cast, and it's like, how are you
like
getting
you,
these roles still?
like you think just in Hollywood, just shitting on a Hollywood movie would get you like blackballed in some way.
Yeah.
But that whole statement is it remains true. Then, doesn't it? Like, have the confidence of a mediocre white guy, and you will get very very far in any industry if you do that. And someone says, "I'm guessing Cal's in High School Musical." I never watched that. I have Disney.
See, I got the songs into my head because the songs were quite catchy and all right. And my sister watched it on loop all the
Ah, okay.
time.
I've watched Victorious though.
No.
That show is like low key fucking incredible. 'Cause that's a show my girlfriend likes. When I
Mm.
mentioned that I like shows like Glee, she said, "Have you ever seen Victorious?" I can't say I have. And that's the show that Ariana Grande was in. That's the show she's on where she got
Right.
discovered. And they have a song called Take a Hint. And that is like low key one of the best girl power anthems I have ever heard. And I recommend anyone out there who wants to listen to a good girl power anthem, go listen to Take a Hint like by the Victoria soundtracks. It's fucking awesome.
Well,
And it has like some
yeah.
amazing lines in it, like you asked me what my sign was, and I told you it was stop. And it's like that is such a good line. And it's like if I had a nickel
Oh,
for every name that you just dropped, you'd still be here and I'd be on a yacht. That is, you got to admit, that's a fucking good line, isn't it?
that is.
That's up there with I forget who it is. I think it's 3030, where it's if your boyfriend's got a beef, tell him I'm a fucking vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. I'm not fucking scared of him. Like that is a top tier fucking lyric, innit?
Uh,
And you can't not just like sing along to that.
hmm.
It's like when you listen to Panic at the Disco, when you listen to oh god, what's it? I Write Sins Not Tragedy.
Oh god, yeah.
You've got to sing alongside. It's such a bop.
But no, like I mentioned on the podcast a while ago, we went to like that Disney brunch, didn't we?
Oh, that's
And
you need to get me in one of those. Next time
oh
you hear
yeah,
about one of those, I will travel through with the missus and we can go to that. That sounds incredible.
it was really fun, and I just remember them putting High School Musical songs in, and it was that experience of like the first time we were like, oh yeah, High School Musical. I guess that is Disney songs. Yeah, yeah, sure.
I
And
reckon
then
that's
by
pretty
the
good.
end of the day, we were like sitting there a couple of hours in, singing along to every single one, like fucking High School Musical songs. I forgot how good they were.
You don't realize like how much they like burrow their way into your head, like those earworms, man.
Mm.
Like it's an art form in of itself, like to write something catchy.
Yes, yeah.
It's like modern art, isn't it? Whenever you see modern art, and you always get some dickhead say, "Well, I could do that," but you did.
Mm.
Or you get like people criticizing pop music, saying, "Oh, it's just four chords," and they're not very good at singing. It's like, but there is a skill in writing music that people like. It may not necessarily be the most complex thing.
Mm.
It might not be a great example of the genre, but it's catchy.
And you will certainly be like humming that song in your head the next day.
There is a skill to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like two separate skills between like writing a technically good song and
And
writing a
performing it.
catchy song.
Yeah, which is generally why lots of modern pop songs have multiple writers.
Mm-hmm.
And why you have people who've written, like, you have those people behind the scenes who've written like every big hit.
It's like Pharrell, isn't it?
Yeah, like he's secretly worked in the background for like 20 years and wrote
Yeah.
almost every major like
So
hit.
many number ones behind him that
We
he's
can look
just
up
like,
that right now as an example of what we're talking about. It's like Pharrell Williams in it.
It is, yes.
Just to look, it's just have a look at the kind of stuff he's done because people might think, well, I know him. He did Happy, didn't he?
He did
Everyone knows him
have a
from
song,
Happy.
yeah.
Let's have a look at his.
I believe he like wrote for like Britney Spears for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna try and track down his discography, his production discography. There we go.
Okay, cool. Doing the deep dive.
And we're trying to find a list of songs that he wrote. That's the annoying thing of like when you go on his Wikipedia page. It's not the list of songs that he wrote.
Right, yeah.
It's
Maybe
it's
if
just
you
the list of
Google
collaboration
like
songs wrote,
songs written
with.
by Pharrell, yeah.
There we go. Songs written for other artists. Here we go. There's a category: songs written by Pharrell Williams by other artists. So we have he's written for Kendrick Lamar. He's written for Snoop Dogg, Madonna, Pitbull, Beyonce again, Ariana Grande, Britney Spears, Gwen Stefani, Faith Evans, Micah, Foxy Brown, Shakira. Okay, now I don't like the idea that Shakira doesn't write her own songs. I love Shakira too much. I'm
Those
just
hits
going to
do
ignore
lie,
that one.
apparently, Karl.
Doja Cat, himself, obviously. A T.I., Nelly, Daft Punk. Get lucky because he wrote that. Quavo, Beyonce again, Madonna again, T.I. Oh my god, he says I'm only onto the eyes.
And that's the thing.
I'm still going down. But keep in mind, in between all these are the other songs that he's just written for himself, like
Yeah.
Jay-Z,
When you're sitting there
Una,
going,
Leela
yeah, I've
Bella,
written number
Chris
ones
Crab,
for like all
Nerd,
of these
Rihanna,
people. Oh my god.
Destiny's Child, Snoop Dogg again, Nerd again, Ed Sheeran, J Balvin, Justin Timberlake, oh, Mr. Sexy Back himself, Mariah Carey,
Oh my god.
Travis Scott, Kelly Rowland, Kid Cudi, Frank Ocean. Like, that's the thing. It's like he's written all them in addition to like, his own discography, and he wrote like Despicable Me. He wrote the soundtrack to that.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Like, he's just one of those. It's like Sia.
Yeah.
All the shit she's written. Like she occasionally just goes on Twitter and says, "I just wrote another number one hit for some tween pop star you've not heard of yet."
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like when you can have the ability to do that, like I get it, because at some point you go, well, I've written all these number ones for all these people that have gotten just this incredible amount of fame and money. Why not just fucking do it for myself?
Also, as well, imagine all the people that he knows.
Mm,
Like, imagine
yeah.
all the people that he's got just on speed dial if he needs a hand with a song. I'm trying to think of the other one now. There's another artist that I'm remembering. I think it's. I'm going to double check his name.
What,
I think
another like ghostwriter for
Another, yeah, it is Nile Rodgers. So you might not have heard of him. Have you heard of Nile Rodgers?
the name? Like slightly rings a bell, but I'm not sure whether that's because it's a relatively common sounding name.
Well, he's a super cool looking black dude with giant dreads, and he's the guy who plays the guitar in Get Lucky, I believe.
Right. Okay.
He's done that, but he's another one who's been a session musician for decades. And do you know what he worked on? This is the weirdest pull ever, because this is where one of those things I'm aware of him, like the
Hmm.
Halo 2 soundtrack.
Oh.
And do you remember a couple of years ago where is it Marty O'Donnell does the soundtrack?
Yes. Yeah.
Like he found an old recording studio clip of him writing the theme song for Halo. And he just said, "Oh, I found this on an old hard drive. I'm going to upload it." And Nile Rodgers is in that, and he talks about he helped him write the Halo theme
Oh
song,
my
and
god.
he brought in, I think it's is it might have been Eddie Van Halen who did the soundtrack. It was like the guy who ripped the solo on it, did it first time under Niall's direction, and it's just how. Yeah, here we go. He worked on Halo 2, Gears of War, Resident Evil, Borderlands, Rush Hour, Snow Dogs.
That's a weird jump, isn't it? He
Yeah, like
worked
he's
on Halo 2 and Snow Dogs.
Random Access Memories with Daft Punk.
Mhm.
Again, he's one of those people. He's been in the background fucking years,
Yes.
and he has a. Oh, I like this. There's just a section of his Wikipedia page that says here he plays a 1960s Fender Stratocaster, nicknamed the Hitmaker. Because all he does is write fucking songs that are always number ones. That's incredible.
Oh god, that's some confidence right there.
Just the thing as well, when you know someone's a fucking legend, when you go down to like their career and it says selected. Not even their entire like work discography or body of work. No, selected. It is the
Okay.
good shit.
Mhm.
Beverly Hills Cop. He did
Man,
Halo 3 soundtrack as well.
god, the Halo music was so good.
It was incredible. And his collaborations, like he wrote he worked on Like a Virgin, Mick Jagger, Cyndi Lauper, Peter Gabriel, Grace Jones, Philip Bailey, Dana Ross, Mariah Carey, Paul Young, Cyndi Lauper again, David Bowie, Brian Ferry, Michael Jackson.
Ooh.
Like he's the dude who worked on History. Like Avicii. It's like what? And then he's there. Like almost no one's ever heard of him.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking
But
that
you
I might have heard of him slightly before, but forgotten who he was.
that's the thing, you've absolutely 100% listened to one of his songs.
Well, I've listened to Halo 2 and 3, so of
Yeah.
course I have, yeah.
You've heard something that he's written. It's similar to the guys who make up Toto, where they are all session musicians. And we talked in a video before about if you take their entire collective discography, like the
Mm,
body of work they have all collectively contributed to, they have had a hand in songs that 99% of the population of Earth have heard.
mhm.
Because if you just take into account everything one of them's helped make, including their own, like, massive body of work, there is almost nobody out there who's not heard a song by them like that someone from Toto had a hand in.
That's like a secret supergroup, isn't it?
Toto is the ultimate secret
Like
supergroup.
there's the supergroups where if people don't know, it's like um members or like already iconic musicians will come together from different bands and form what's
Yeah.
like a super group of musicians. But the idea of session musicians that don't have a big name all coming together, it's like the underground supergroup.
Well, that's the backstory to why they became a band. It's like
Mm,
they were doing so many albums. They were basically producing entire albums together. And they
right,
were like
yeah.
bring it, and then the artist would come in and sing their lyrics, and then they would do all the stuff in the background and like basically help out on production because they're so talented at what they do. They would also help with other aspects of stuff they weren't necessarily asked to do,
Mhm.
such as like just coming in and advising artists or like working on arrangements and things like that. And they just all sat down and they went, "We should just make a band.
Yeah.
Like we're all really good.
At that
Let's just
point,
make a band."
oh god. And I want to pull it back, Carl, because like
Okay,
not talking about the music, but talking about Halo, because I
okay.
did have a slight chance to play some Halo Infinite over the
Wait,
weekend.
how did you play Halo Infinite? Is it not even out yet? Is it?
They had like the technical preview, so like
Okay.
like a beta kind of thing or alpha or whatever a stage it is classified as. And I didn't get invited to the preview program. But then I had friends come over on Saturday, and one of them was like,
And
"Oh
they
yeah, I got to
were
play some Halo Infinite. I got invited." Like, wait, what?
download that on my
It's like,
Xbox
yeah,
right
get
now.
that on my Xbox right now. So I managed to play like 3 matches of Halo Infinite,
Okay.
and
That's the
then
thing I've
we
tried
were
to
like,
avoid as much as I can about Halo because I want to be surprised when I play. But how does it
mhm.
play?
Really well. And like that's the thing is, I didn't want to just sit there while I have friends over and play Halo, but I could have done. I
Is it
could have
good?
kept playing.
Is it fun? What's
It's
the thing? Halo
fun,
is good.
and it feels like they instead of modern like Halo 5 where they put all the dashes in and stuff, feel
which
like
was
this
ridiculous.
is a modern Halo multiplayer that feels like Halo.
Yeah, 'cause that was the problem with the like Halo 5, where we can show this off right now. I've got an Xbox controller next to me, so when we do
Hmm.
recordings. If I remember correctly, Halo 3, you have jump, melee, grenade, shoot, reload. And that's basically it, isn't it? And then crouch on one of these.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's
Like,
buttons we're forgetting about, but yeah.
yeah, but like Halo has like what is it called? The triangle, they call it, where it's gun butts, grenades, and guns.
Yes, yeah.
They have the trifecta, and that's how they built the game. It's like just a triangle. These are the three things that should feel good in the game. But then when you
Hmm.
got to Halo 5, they introduced, so they have sprint. So now you got a button for sprint. So you've got sprint, crouch, shoot, grenade, jump. And it's
Yes.
okay. And then zoom. Don't forget your zoom as well. You've got to zoom in with your gun. But the thing is, previously, zooming was like on one of these sticks,
Hmm.
but now crouch is on those sticks and sprint's on those sticks. So zoom isn't anymore. So now zoom has to be on one of these things on one of your triggers,
Yeah.
which means that your grenade's in the wrong thing. Okay, so now, but then in addition to that, they also added abilities, and those abilities also require another button on your controller. In addition to that, you've also got equipment. So you've got equipment, grenades, abilities, sprint, jump, aim, and I literally
And
could
dashes.
not. And dashes, you had a dash as well as an
Mm.
ability on top of that, and your dash in addition to your sprint. So you had like upwards of 3 different movement options at any one given time. Actually, no, 4 because you had jump as well,
Yeah.
and then crouch is another one. So that's 5. And I'm not sure about you, but I literally could not find a button layout on an Xbox controller which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 different buttons that you can press
Hmm.
while playing. I could not find a comfortable setup with these buttons that allowed me to do everything.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Like, they added just one too many things
And I think they've
into the game.
stripped back a couple of those, but kept enough where it felt like a smooth, fast-paced modern game. So you still have the sprint, you still have like the zoom, but they haven't got like the dash anymore. They don't have
Which was
the
terrible.
abilities anymore, but you still have the equipment. So like the grappling hook, for example, is not an ability inherent to your character. It is a pickup on the stage,
Okay.
and then
So
you
it's basically
can
it's a portable man cannon, essentially.
and you can use that when you deem fit, like by pressing like the X button or whatever.
Okay.
So it's similar to like the active camouflage. You pick up the active camouflage, and you can press X to throw, like to deploy that. Same with the deployable shield.
I do need to ask though, does it feel good?
It feels good.
Okay, because I remember just watching the initial trailer where Master Chief uses that grappling hook and just goes, "Ooh,"
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it
like
feels like they've sped that up about 300%.
that looks so, especially as well when that trailer came out when Doom Eternal was out. And Doom
Mm.
Eternal's grappling hook is not even a core part of the game, it's an accessory for a gun.
It's like part of the shotgun, isn't it?
Yeah, part of a super shotgun.
Mm. Yeah, and yeah, it like I'd say only had 3 matches, and they'd upped the bot difficulty to be quite hard. So like at times I didn't get much of a chance to like experiment with the power weapons because the bots were like camping the power weapons and
And
just
that.
and like four shotting me down.
The other thing
Oh god, it was fun though. It was fun, and the fact that it left me wanting to play more is
well, it's
just
good, but then again,
says it all.
I got burned on Halo 5, so I also thought Halo 5 was good until I broke down the nitty gritty and went, there's just too much in this. They've tried to make it
Hmm.
they've tried to put in everything from every first person shooter, and it's like kind of lost its identity.
Yes,
It's
and
like, do you know when you put, say, if you're making like noodles or something like that, you put, oh, I'm going to put some soy sauce in, some sweet chili sauce, and then the flavor packets, and then some stuff on top, and then it just ends up tasting of nothing. You put in so many, there's no single flavor or thing to enjoy or savor. It's just mess on a
yeah,
plate.
and
Like if you
Halo
missed it,
5 did feel a bit like, yeah, too many cooks kind of feel. There's so much in this melting pot that
like
it
you could
doesn't
take a
have an
few things out.
identity. But no, this felt very much felt more Halo and a
That's
good
good.
mix.
It's called Halo.
Yeah, that's the thing. But Halo 5 didn't really feel very Halo.
Yeah, especially as well when you like the guns, just they sounded so bad.
Yeah.
There's just something about the noise that like the BR made in that game that was just this is really flaccid. This doesn't feel like a future laser weapon.
Yeah, and I think the weapons had like a good amount of punch. I as well noticed that yeah, left trigger is zoom in. I was like, oh, I don't like that. And instead
That
of
doesn't feel
zoom in,
very.
I just started hip firing and was fine.
Yeah, it's like I don't like that. That's not very Halo.
And
That's
that's
Call
the
of
thing
Duty.
is, it's there, but I didn't need it. I was doing the classic just plasma pistol to magnum combo.
So when I'm playing Halo, left trigger is grenade.
And yeah, and obviously, I've seen like quite a few accessibility options in the game, and I can tell you that you'll be able to button map that because I saw like a picture of Tim Gaze on Twitter just like playing left hand control stick. So he had a gamepad in his left hand for movement, and on his right hand had the mouse. So
Oh,
he
I've
was
heard
doing
some people do
controller
that
and mouse
because you can have both in an
because you
Xbox,
can have
can't you?
both inputs on the go at the same time. So it was like aiming and shooting with the mouse, and then
Movement with
like
the stick.
movement on the stick, and I was like, that's kind of incredible.
But that's like the next. That's basically at that point just a Wiimote. That's the nunchuck if you think about it.
A little bit, yeah, because you had
Yeah,
like the thumbstick, but then you could have the pointing at the screen for the fast aiming.
yeah. It's essentially just that.
And I will argue, first person, basic first person shooters, like Measure of Prime 3, for example, controlled so nice on the Wii.
There is,
Like,
yeah. There's some good games on that, to my understanding. Because I never got a chance to play many Wii games because I never had a
mm,
Wii. I only played like when I could get access to a Wii, and generally just play Smash Bros.
yeah.
But I've seen that some people really did have fun with that.
Yeah, and a very limited amount of games did it well. And like, for example, Call of Duty Wii, I played a version of like, I think Call of Duty 4 or something for Wii. And because the Wii Mote didn't have enough buttons, it then like had to strip part of the game out, and it felt really weird because then think certain parts were like motion controlled instead of buttons, and it felt really bad. But when it's designed for the Wii, like Metro Prime 3, it felt really good.
Yeah, almost like Nintendo know what they're doing as well. Especially with like the Wiimote, you feel like Samus because you feel like you have the arm cannon,
Exactly, yeah.
which is really cool. And just like we can bring that around to something I've been asked about a lot on stream, and I'm sure you've been asked about it a lot. It's that Stream Deck thing. And every time I get asked about it, all I can think is, "There's no fucking way that's beating Nintendo."
Oh yes, the
People are
Steam Deck, because the
people are
Stream
convinced.
Deck is a very different thing. That's like
Oh, sorry.
the Elgato like
Oh,
thing where
that
you have
thing
all
where you
the
can press the
buttons that you
buttons. Yeah.
can do all like your gifs and change between settings and
Well,
stuff.
already that's a terrible fucking name then, because it's getting mixed up for something else.
Yeah, it's not a good name. And yeah, the Steam Deck is like, what the PC Master Race are claiming is going to be like the new Switch killer.
Yeah, the thing that looks like a piece of shit. It looks like the Wii U, which is never a good sign. It looks awful.
And I
And have you seen
think,
how high like the sticks are?
oh
The
yeah,
sticks are like super high.
and it's got like the weird like trackpad for all the mouse movement and stuff. And you know what? That will be probably a perfectly fine device, but it's not. I don't think gonna capture that mainstream attention like Nintendo can.
Well, that's the one, isn't it? Of because I keep getting asked this question on streams of like, oh, have you seen the Steam Deck? Do you want one? It's like, no. So why not? Does it play Smash? Well,
Mhm.
no. Well, then I don't want it. Does it play Pokemon? Well, no. You can jury rig it and like download a bunch of
I love that as an
mods. It's
argument.
like,
Oh, I
no.
can illegally pirate all my games on it though. It's like, okay, that was a lot of people's argument for me to get a Vita.
So you
Was
can
like, oh,
jailbreak
but
it.
you can jailbreak it and put a load of PS1 games on there. Like, oh, so A, piracy, great, and B, like, your argument for this console being great is that you
It's
can
like you
play
can.
old games that I've already played.
It's like what new stuff does it have on it?
And obviously, like, you can make the argument of how many Wii U games have been ported to Switch, but that's more because nobody owned a fucking Wii U.
Yeah, you have that thing of how many times has someone tried to hoover those crumbs off Nintendo's plate? You had like the Game Gear way back in the day, the Game Gear which was more powerful,
Yep.
advertised as being more powerful, fucking died. The PSP, more powerful, did okay, but then it fucking died.
Yeah, to be fair, the PSP and the Game Boy Advance both sold about the same, but then the DS came around and was like,
Just absolutely annihilated it.
yeah, I just punched my
Vita
leg
came
as
out,
well.
like Vita fucking died, and then there's like the Steam Deck. And something I found really funny is when I was mentioning this, I said, "Well, the reason Nintendo's like gonna win, and they probably don't give a shit, is they've got Smash Bros and Pokemon.
Hmm.
All what's gonna happen is a kid or just someone like our age who's nostalgic for that sort of thing. If they're thinking about buying one in a shop, it's like, does it play Pokemon?
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'll get a Switch then.
And
I want to play Pokemon, and
there's
this is
that combined with the fact that people are arguing, yeah, but it's the same price. It's like the new OLED Switch, so you can have like high fidelity, quote unquote, PC gaming on the go.
Does it
And
play
it's like it'll
Pokemon?
play like, you know, they've said it'll play Jedi Fallen Order at high settings. So I'm not talking like brand new games at Ultra or anything, which, you know, that's way more powerful than Switch, admittedly. But the
But the
idea
average
is,
consumer doesn't give a fuck.
yeah, like, are you gonna turn around to like the 90 million people that have a Switch or whatever it is at this point and go, oh, but do you want this? It plays your PC games, and it's like, well, can I play all my Nintendo stuff? It's like, well, no, and
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, that's the basic version. You probably want to get the one that costs like $600 so that you don't have to worry about like the SSD speeds and the memory and all that. And it's like, right, okay, so now this didn't become an actual comparison. It became pay double the price
Yeah.
and
So
you'll
how do
get
we get
something
games
that's
on it?
much better than a Switch.
Yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to mention that really cracked me up is when I was saying like, well, Pokemon and like Animal Crossing, Smash Bros, like Mario Party, Mario Kart, which is like, you know, just an absolute sells gangbusters every time they release a new one.
Still.
Though those things are just like earth shattering in their importance and the impact they have on like gaming as a whole when they get released. A guy legitimately said in response, "Yeah, but Valve's got Half-Life." And it's like, when's the last time you heard about anyone talk about Half-Life?
Well, to be fair, you know, there's
It's a
Half-Life
good game.
Alex.
But Lucas, Half-Life or Mario,
Yeah.
and every other game I just mentioned.
And that's the thing is, it's not like there's not popular games on PC.
Of course,
We're
yeah, well,
not
there's
saying
every
that,
game
but
on PC.
Nintendo have that mainstream click with consumers. Like my family will buy a Switch for Animal
Yeah,
Crossing and Mario Kart. Like
it's like
my
your mum
sisters
knows what
have
Nintendo is.
bought Nintendo handhelds, but my sisters will not then go and buy like a PC to game on or
Because they're not
you
interested.
know.
They don't want to
And
put that extra effort
I'm
in.
not saying that like that wasn't aimed specifically at females. Like, you know, my girlfriend plays
That's the
console
two.
game. They're just two people I think of that are quite casual gamers that pick up nothing but Nintendo handhelds.
Yeah,
And the
it's
Switch
like my
included.
yeah, it's like my brother only plays like a couple of games. Like he'd probably pick one up
Mm-hmm.
to play something like that, and he's like expressed interest in getting one when he sees me on my Switch when I go home.
Yeah.
On the rare occasion that I can do that, but it's just one of those things where it is people are unable to see something from another person's point of view. Like all those weird PC master race people, they cannot fathom why people would not give a huge shit about like frame rate and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, this is so big, it's so important to me. Why would nobody else care?
Yeah.
And then they can't fathom why you wouldn't give a shit. So in their head, like, well, you know, it's like back in the day when you're like, you know, when you're like 14 and you're having the arguments at school of like, why have you got a GameCube? It's only got
Yeah.
baby games on it. Then you
Mm.
fast forward 10 years and like there's so much nostalgia for the GameCube.
There is now, yeah, and that's the funny thing is Wind Waker's obviously a perfect example of that because of the art style. Everybody saw that, like, you know, Zelda 2000 Space World demo where it's like realistic looking Ocarina of Time fight, and then it's like the next year they show off Wind Waker and everyone goes, "Oh, it's a baby game. I don't like this."
Yeah.
And now you look back and people have such reverence for Wind Waker and call it one of the best Zelda games.
And some people just never grow out of that stage of like, I want the thing that's for adults. I want the thing that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't ever like, you know, get themselves in the headspace of someone who's maybe not them.
And that's the thing is, I'm sure, like, from the looks of it, the Steam Deck will probably do all right with that group
It's
of people, but
but
it's not going to hit that mainstream appeal, I don't think.
and what I'm imagining is that everyone who gets one is going to be fucking insufferable. Because it reminds me of that great Hard Times headline, which is, what you don't. Why would you buy a Nintendo SNES Mini when you
Mm.
could get a Raspberry Pi and never shut the fuck up about it?
Yeah, yeah.
And we
Oh.
all know that guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into games, you know that guy who has a Raspberry Pi and never shuts the fuck up. Well, I can play every game I want on it. Goes, okay,
Yeah.
that means nothing to me.
No, like, it's just one of those, isn't it? Of like, there is a subsect of people that will fucking adore this thing. And I don't mean a subsect
And
as in
they'll
like a
never
couple
shut
of
up about
people.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure like every time I pull out my Switch, a Steam Deck owner will appear behind me out of nowhere and go,
Yeah.
like, "Did you know that it's got more power than the Switch?"
Oh, I don't care. Has it got Smash Bros?
Yeah. There we go. Just like getting that auto mod approved.
Oh god. Well, what word did it tell you not allowed?
Someone was saying blew me away, so it was like blew me. No, no, no.
Sometimes I love just the auto censoring of robots.
Yeah,
Some of the options or like choices that robots make are very fun. Like
it's really funny.
AI is imperfect, and that's one of the reasons why it's so scary.
Hmm.
Like a story that always springs to mind when I talk about AI, and like why it being bad is more dangerous than it being good. Because people, when they think of AI going rogue, it's like the AI will get too smart and it'll kill everyone. But
It'll
no,
learn that it doesn't need us, and it'll destroy us, and they'll
no,
like teach themselves.
like that's super unlikely, and also is probably less likely to result in disaster. What's more likely is that AI is stupid and will hurt people that way. Because you have the story of like cars, robot cars with AI in
Hmm.
them, being stopped by drawing circles of salt around them. Because the AI in it detects any white line as a line that it cannot cross, because all it knows is that white line means cannot cross.
Hmm.
So people were just going up to cars with AI in them and like the self-driving thing and just putting circles of salt around them.
Like just trap it like a slug.
Yeah, and then or a demon. That's what's really funny about it, 'cause that's how you stop demons. And it's like that thing of like, well, in that case, with that, the level of dumb AI in a self-driving car, you could make one of those cars crash by going onto a main road and just drawing a white line into a brick wall.
Yeah,
And the AI,
you
and it'll
because it would avoid the white line.
and go and just careen directly into a brick wall. And
Well,
that to me,
that was literally my first thought that popped in my head when you said that. I was like, what if like there's just a white paint splatter across the road and it just fucking breaks and stops and
it
causes a
can't
big
figure it out
crash?
and
Yeah,
crashes the car.
until it'll just get boxed in by some white and it'll go, nope, nope, can't do
Yep.
it.
And that's what's far more likely to happen. It's also way, way funnier.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
way funnier to imagine like all these people buying these cars and then just let them crashing into walls.
It's not like an army of robots rising up and martial art in the way to like, but kicking all our heads off. It's just no, these cars got really annoyed by salt on the road.
Yeah, it's like they got tricked by something that a human would never be
Imagine
tricked
what
by
happens when
because
it snows, Carl.
they can't handle it.
I'm trapped. I'm
The
trapped. I
cars,
can't
the
go.
cars are just gonna stop. It's like I've got that Roomba in my house. I talked about it last week, where if it's sunny, it can't move because the infrared gets overwhelmed and it thinks that it's just trapped.
Mm.
I imagine if that was like something like automatic street cleaning robot and it's sunny and they don't work.
Oh god, that would be incredible.
Just what?
Just
Just robots not working.
just robots not like just shutting down because like oh no, the sun got too bright. I
Well,
can't do it.
there's all sorts of stories like that than just people making technology not anticipating
Mm.
just the way an average person would use it. I've got an iPhone in front of me now. It's like my work phone. Like, don't never forget that Apple. If a couple of years ago they had iPhones where
The
if you
antenna
held them like a
blocker.
phone and talked like this, listening on this can't hear me. I'm like holding my phone to my ear like a phone.
Like
Um,
normal people hold their
yeah.
phones.
So if a right-handed person held the iPhone 4, I believe it was,
I
in
think it
their
was the
hand like
four,
that,
yeah.
the heel of their palm would cover up the receiver for the phone, and it would stop not the receiver, the antenna, 'cause it was built into the base of the handset, and it would mean that your calls would cut out, and also it's where the microphone was, so it cut your microphone out, so you couldn't make calls on it. And it turns out that internally, the reason why they never anticipated or found that out is because everyone inside of Apple, when they talked on their iPhone, would talk like this. And Lucas, like, do you want to describe how I'm talking on, like, holding my iPhone?
Yeah, so Carl is holding it like in front of his face, like a couple of feet away from his mouth, and holding it like in a flat position.
Yes, which is how you see knobheads talk on iPhones on the bus.
Hmm.
Or like, they'd have hands-free kits in and things like that. They never anticipated anybody would hold the iPhone like a phone because nobody internally held it like a phone. It just never occurred to anyone because that's how they talk on them. That was like, the business way they communicate with iPhones. They like hold them and have, because Apple has like a very collaborative atmosphere inside.
Right, yeah.
So everybody's constantly just using their iPhone, like, for like conference calls and stuff. No one ever held it like a phone.
God. And the weird one to me though is that kind of reminds me of like the issue with the Joy Cons, where like every now and then, the signal will just get blocked by your hands.
Because they got people with very small hands using them, didn't they? Is
Is
it?
that what maybe it was? And
It's something like, yes, I also have a Joy-Con in front of me as well, so you can see this like. So if you
yeah.
see when I hold a Joy-Con, because I've got, quite, they're not really big hands, but average size hands for like, a man of my height.
Hmm.
And it's like if I hold a Joy-Con, it is completely covered by my hands.
Yeah.
And because it's completely covered by my hand, the blood in my hands actually stops the signal getting to the Switch. And that's
Because I
something
was
I've
thinking to
anticipated
myself,
because
I was like,
everyone always holds them like this if you watch trailers.
yeah, yeah.
They never anticipate people holding them for long lengths of time.
And then you coddle it a little bit, especially if you're using a single Joy-Con, which
Mhm.
you do as like, you know, just the flex when you're playing Smash Bros with us, or when you're like playing multiplayer games. The entire design of the Switch is like pull off two Joy-Cons, one each,
Yeah,
like
but
Mario Kart or whatever.
if you go watch trailers for the Switch, whenever they show someone holding a Joy-Con, they always hold it like this.
Really delicately with like fingers out and stuff.
They
Yeah.
never show someone holding it like a controller. They show them
Mhm.
holding it like, a toy, essentially, for 20 minutes, drop in,
As
drop
if
out
it's
game.
delicate. Yeah.
Yeah, and they never anticipate anyone holding it like that. And there's so many cases. It's like the new or Windows 10 or Windows 8. Do you turn it's like the big squares?
Oh yes.
That's because everyone internally at Microsoft had touchscreen screens.
Yeah, you
Literally
can
everyone in
100%
Microsoft.
see the design of that works really well on like a tablet, on a phone, touchscreen, just flicking through all the squares.
Yeah.
At the moment, you put that on a PC where you use a mouse and keyboard, like it's not as intuitive.
And that's because literally every single computer at Microsoft was a touchscreen. And because every single person working on Windows 8 had a touchscreen, they had no point of reference for what an average PC user would be experiencing because it's in their head, well, this is how everyone I know uses this. Everyone using this has this input method.
And I know in
They never thought about.
Microsoft, it was probably they gave everybody a Surface Pro to work on or whatever it was like.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, so all of them are using like that Surface tablets with the little attachable keyboard. So then I'm getting a
Yep.
full PC experience, I presume something like that. And it's just, yeah.
So
Or,
have you
yeah.
seen Windows 11?
I've seen little
See-
glimpses of Windows 11, yeah.
Okay, so Joe, you've got your PC in front of you now, Lucas, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm on my PC recording, yes.
Do you have your start button?
Oh, do you mean the
Just how
thing
do
in
you,
the bottom left?
yeah, how'd you get to your start button? Bottom left, innit?
Bottom left, yeah.
Yeah. So do you know the design reasoning for that? Because
Uh,
there is actually a really ingenious reasoning for why the start button is in the very, very bottom left of the screen.
Other than taking a guess of like it's where people would accidentally go the least, I'm not quite
It's,
sure.
it's partly that, and it's also because if you've never used a computer before, if you just scroll your mouse all the way down to the left, you just try it now. If you scroll your mouse right into the corner of the screen where you can't even see anymore, you can still click the start button.
Yes.
So it is so if you drag it all the way to the right and then all the way down, there is no way that you cannot click it.
Right, okay, yeah.
You could try it if like people at home, if you're on a PC right now, try it. Like scroll, get it so your mouse is completely off the screen.
Hmm.
You can still click the start button, and that's the why. It's because you can never not click it if you just drag down to the bottom left.
But if you go up to like the top left or the top right, you'll still see
It's,
part of the mouse.
yes,
It won't disappear.
in case you lose, because it's also as well. It's just one thing. It teaches you if the mouse on the screen, you can still click it. It's the pointer end. It's one
Mm.
of those things where they spent ages figuring this out, and then Windows 11 they put it in the middle of the screen, meaning that it is no longer intuitive and easy for people who've never used one before.
No, but it looks like Apple.
Yes.
It looks like a Mac.
But like, that's the thing. The reason they had it is so that you can fucking click it.
And I
It's just
get
all.
the design decision behind it being in the middle because you think it's like the bottom middle is kind of almost like, you know, where
Like,
things would come from. Like,
but
I get
that's
it.
not
It's like
how.
growing out from the middle, but
From a design standpoint, it's really unintuitive for someone who's not familiar with computers.
Mhm.
Which is, that's a rarer and rarer occurrence these days. But still, that's like if you just like try that, then like something you probably never noticed before. But if you try it and you think, yeah, there's no way you can't not click it.
Mhm.
If you drag your mouse to the bottom left, you are guaranteed to click. Like now, imagine if you weren't very comfortable using a mouse and you're wobbling
Yeah.
around and stuff, and you're not as at the level of finesse other people do. Or
And
maybe you've got limited mobility or something like that.
yeah, and that's the thing is, as you say, like this is a design decision that's been around in Windows since I presume the original.
Mhm.
So a lot of people weren't PC literate at that time,
And
whereas
that's what
obviously
taught
a
them.
lot of people are now.
But
But
even then, it's still just a really good one because it means that even when you're without thinking, if I need to get the start button, I can just drag bottom left, click, and know it's going to open. Now it just takes that extra split second to double check and make sure I'm on it.
and yeah, that's the thing is like I remember installing like a little dock at the bottom of my PC like when I was a bit younger, like
Mhm.
had that kind of Mac type system where you have that little middle part that looks nice and sleek, and you've got all your apps lined up on there. It's a very visually appealing design decision. But then the amount of times I would catch myself still just flicking to the bottom left and going, "Oh, god damn it!" Like,
Also, how many times do you accidentally click on, say, for example, on my taskbar at the bottom, I've got like Chrome, OBS, Elgato, Streamlabs, Audacity, uh, VLN, is it? The
DLC,
VLC, yeah, I never know what it's called. I just know it's a little traffic count, and
the
then Discord.
traffic cone, yeah.
I'm presuming though you have, presumably you've got Adobe on there as well on yours.
I have like a couple of them, yeah.
And like, how many times do you accidentally click on Photoshop and go, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Yeah.
And like have to spend that 5 minutes closing
And
it?
the
That never
worst thing
happens.
with Adobe ones is like how long the startup takes on them.
Like, that's why I picked an Adobe one,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying, like, the start button, it's you never make that mistake, but now
Mhm.
you're going to, and it's fucking in the middle because you're gonna accidentally click on stuff around it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, it really annoys me how Adobe have gone to basically a real every single app is like a shade of like a blue or a purple, where it
Rather than
used to
being
be like a
distinct.
pink or a green, and you could visually identify which one was which based on how like the different bright colors that they represented.
Mhm. The
Whereas now
primary
it's
color.
like I go onto my thing, and like the 5 main apps that I use for Adobe are like After Effects, Audition, Media Encoder, Premiere Pro, Photoshop. 4 of them are the same shade of like a bluey purple, and then Photoshop is a bit of a lighter blue.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh god damn, and like After Effects and Audition like AEAU, and just when I'm glancing and quickly moving my mouse, I just click on one, and like sometimes it's just the wrong one. I'm
Open
like, oh
open up
god
the
damn
wrong,
it.
and it's just that thing, like 5 minutes now to shut it.
And it's one of those things that, yeah, that's my bad, that's user error, but you should make things as mindless as possible. Like,
Yeah,
I
you want
should
to be
be
able.
able to know visually immediately which one is which and click on the right one without even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why just those design decisions, like they make sense if you're, in an office full of people who are all computer literate,
Hmm.
but it goes into that thing of people not being able to see something from the point of view of another. And in that case, like, okay, now imagine you don't know how a PC works.
Hmm.
How do you make this PC work?
Well, a lot of people kicked off recently with the icons changing for Google apps, where they
Yeah, because
changed them
they,
all to like the Google colors.
including like YouTube and stuff, and it's like, no, YouTube is just like, the fucking red. I see red. It's like on my iPhone, my home screen. I know where YouTube is because I just see the app and I go, boop.
I think the
In fact,
YouTube one's still just YouTube, isn't it?
it's still YouTube, yeah, but then, like, I look at the bottom of my screen, it's like for the iPhone, because at the bottom I've got like my phone, my texts, WhatsApp, and Spotify,
Yeah.
and they're all green.
And that's the thing is, I look at my my like Pixel here, like an Android phone, and I've got
Oh,
like my
Lucas, do you
Gmail,
realize? Do you
my
realize, Lucas, if we had like less of a personality, we argue right now.
right,
There are people out there that have an argument over that, over
and
which phone we're using.
it's so annoying that I look at this and I go like, oh yeah, my Gmail, my Drive, my Google, my Fit, my Home, my Maps, they're all the exact same color set and like very similar iconography, and it means that no longer can I look at it and know which app it is almost like without thinking, as I said.
It's like, you'd think would be one of the first things you'd work on if you were designing the logo for your app.
And they had that and removed it to make
Yeah,
them all look more similar because they
because
want a like uh
cohesive theme across all of
that's
them.
I was gonna say they yeah, I just lost my word in them, but yeah, they want more cohesion across the design, but then that loses the impact of each individual icon.
Yeah, and it's makes it less distinct on its own. So it's
Hmm.
like you're sacrificing cohesion for like brand memorability. And there's a couple of like great stories about like just branding from history. I think it's Orville Redenbacher. I think that's the name of it. The popcorn brand. It's a thing in America, but it's not over here.
Mm.
I'm just going to double check the actual specific name of it now. Someone in chat
Gosh,
probably going to correct me before I can search for it.
there we go.
I'm
Probably.
trying.
I while you look that up, I always like to mention though, like
Oh, there it
that.
is. Orville Redenbacher,
Oh, okay,
or maybe Bocker.
we'll never know.
I'll
Chat
never
will
know because
tell you, but
obviously,
we'll never know.
well, I'll never know the correct pronunciation. But that is named after a guy called, oddly enough, Orville Redenbacher, and he paid a marketing company like I think about £10,000 to £20,000 Said, look, I need you to figure out what I should call my popcorn. And they
Okay.
came back and went, call it Orville Redenbacher. Because they did a bunch of research and found out that his name was so distinct
That it's
that
just, yeah.
memorable. Yeah, once you hear it once, you hear it and go, that sticks in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And their reasoning was, once your name it sticks in someone's mind, it will then become synonymous with popcorn. So people will
Right.
start thinking popcorn, they'll think your name.
Mm-hmm.
And he paid someone to tell him that.
And that's fair enough, but
That's why they get paid the big bucks, though.
it
It's
is,
like,
yeah.
I remember it, and we don't even have that popcorn over in our country. We don't
Mm.
have that brand over here, and I still know what it is because I've heard it once and it sticks in my brain.
Yeah. And again, that's the thing of like, it sounds very obvious, but it's only obvious when it's pointed out to you, and that's why these people have jobs.
Yeah, that's like, how marketing, gurus do it. That's why they get paid the big fucking bucks.
But yeah, like to just circle back to what I was gonna say while you're looking that up,
Yes.
I do find it funny when people point out like old iconic like logos and stuff to use. Like for example, the save button on your PC and many
Oh,
apps and
yeah.
stuff is a
It's a
floppy disk. But a lot of people using that button will have absolutely no idea what a floppy disk is at this point. As
Yeah,
much as that makes me feel old saying it, a lot of younger people will be like, I don't know what this is. It's just the save button. I don't know why it
yeah.
looks like that. It's just what it looks like.
It's the actual true meaning is now so divorced from its origins that it's fine. And I
Hmm.
can't imagine them ever changing it from the floppy disk because it's now so synonymous with the art of saving that
Yeah, and
there's no
that's the
reason
thing
to
is you
change
don't
it.
need to understand that it's a floppy disk to know that it's the save button.
Yeah,
It just is
it,
the icon for the save button. What
it's
save
like the
buttons look like.
it's like the play button as well. It's an arrow that goes forward
Right,
to
yeah, yeah.
to continue. How many people and it used to be on like VHS players and stuff like that. But now like just triangle means play, means go.
Yeah, and
And the same with like colours and stuff, isn't it? Like people just see green, green means go.
yeah. You have those just subconscious different thoughts about every single colour, don't you? Like red is danger intrinsically.
Those associations in your mind, and that's one of the things where they've actually got a group of people out there trying to figure out how to create a logo for radioactive waste. Because Joe, the classic radioactive waste symbol,
Yeah.
the circle with like the
The three
concentric bits of
prongs
stuff,
and yeah.
it's yellow background.
Hmm.
Um, like that means radioactive waste, right? It
Yeah.
means radiation.
Hmm.
They've actually done research on it by asking people in countries where they don't know what radioactive waste is, like Joe, like not uncontacted transport. People in like deep, deep rural areas of countries where like they may be like illiterate and uneducated, asking them what it means,
Yeah.
and they think it means flowers or
Oh.
stuff like that. And the worry is that if we ever succumb to nuclear annihilation, would future generations know what that symbol means?
Right, because
Because it
it
exactly
doesn't
suggest
represent
danger.
nuclear waste or anything like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it doesn't exactly convey danger, especially not the level of
Mm.
danger that you get from interacting with something radioactive.
Yeah, that's very true. It just kind of it's looks like a circle with some lines in it. That could be harmless, that could be dangerous, that could be anything.
Yeah, like one of the things that people think it means flowers, like
Mm.
field of flowers or something like, 'cause it looks like a flower.
Yeah.
And you never think about that 'cause obviously it's radioactive waste.
I've
If you
grown up watching The Simpsons knowing what radioactive waste symbol looks like.
then put yourself into the shoes of someone who has no idea what radiation is, would you know
Hmm.
that sign means danger?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah, and I love shit like that.
Yeah, like obviously, like as you say, I just grew up knowing what that was. Probably, I joke, but probably because of The Simpsons,
Yeah, well, The
because Homer
Simpsons.
Simpson works in a nuclear waste factory, like in a nuclear factory, and deals with that waste. And
Yeah,
but yeah, there's nothing that screams radioactive waste about the logo itself
there's
or the
nothing that screams
symbol.
danger.
No,
Specifically, it's danger is what you want to convey.
yeah,
And it's difficult to convey danger in just like a very simple image that is like identifiable across all cultures and socioeconomic boundaries.
draw like someone putting a foot in a puddle and a skeleton appears. Like, I don't
It
know.
was like the danger of death one that you see on electricity, a lightning bolt shocking someone who's like in a state of danger.
Hmm.
That it's really difficult to like misinterpret what something like that means.
Yeah, but then you get the classic British one The opening the
Oh,
umbrella.
the man digging, the
Yeah.
person digging, and isn't it like the lady who invented that is really pissed off because she thinks it looks like an umbrella?
Well, that's what people get it confused for. Yeah,
They
and
think it means rain.
I remember like they did like a segment on it on a Top Gear episode where it's like, oh yeah, we were talking to this woman and she's like, I get really annoyed that fuck that one up because that's the only one that we did where people confuse it for something else. They nailed like every other like traffic signal warning sign and all this. And
Ah, okay, that must be what it is. I must have thought you've told me that story before, and I thought you meant the woman who invented it.
no, yeah, they were talking to the woman who invented
Oh,
it.
okay, yeah, perfect. So I'm
Yeah,
remembering it half right, half wrong.
and they were talking to her and had her on the episode, and she like jokingly went up to the sign. They were like, "How would you change this sign?" And she just drew like a little shovel head at the top of the stick.
That's all you need.
All you need, like just a tiny little extra block on top to associate that as a shovel and not looking like an umbrella.
Yeah. Well, in that vein, we have someone in chat now. So the radioactive danger sim was a particle with stuff coming off of it, signaling radiation. How is an illiterate person supposed to know what a particle is?
Mm-hmm.
That's something you have to be taught and learn in school. The idea is it should be immediately obvious to someone who has no idea what any of that stuff is. They should just know. Because the idea is it not for it to convey radiation, to convey danger
Right, yeah.
to people who don't know what radiation is.
And
And that's
for
one of the
anyone
theories.
that isn't from like the UK,
You're going to post a picture of like the
I'm gonna
digger. It does
find
look like
out.
an umbrella.
Yeah, what the traffic sign like? What was it? What's it for?
It's for men at work.
Men at work.
Yeah, like roadworks and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
There's
So
a
like
couple as well. It's like the one that always confused me is heavy plant crossing.
the plant crossing.
Yeah, it means like heavy machinery. Like heavy machinery might be crossing this like a tractor or something like that, but just heavy plant crossing. So what the fuck does that mean?
Like, yeah, I don't know if I can't remember like how to post things.
Has it been that long? You're taking that long a break, Lucas. You don't even remember how to post something in chat anymore.
Yeah, like that's the thing is I just forget that I can put links in my chat because I block everybody else from doing it.
You
So
can, Lucas.
in my chat, there's like just a picture there, and it's meant to be like just a man digging up some dirt to represent, yeah, somebody working on the side of the road, and that's like the UK traffic sign for it. But it just a lot of people don't know what it looks like, and kind of looks a bit like someone struggling to open an umbrella.
It might be windy. It's like there's an art to doing that because it's really difficult to convey a complex message in that someone needs to be able to see, realize, and react to instantly.
Yeah.
So if you're driving in a car at 60 miles an hour, you have like what 3-4 seconds to see something as you're driving up to it and gone past. You need to know what that sign means straight away. There can be no room for interpretation there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me, it's like a fascinating idea. It's like people try to figure out how to make bathroom door signs. With like people
yeah.
becoming more accepting of like trans people and like non-binary people. It's like, okay, so how do we represent that on the door? And I like the one that just says, sit down, stand up. Do you want to sit down when you're on the toilet, or do you want to stand up?
Yeah,
That's the one for me. That's the one I look at and go, that is the perfect one.
and that's the thing though, like because then becomes the issue of, well, you're not using iconography anymore. You're using text, which means that anyone that doesn't understand the language, like tourists and whatnot, then it becomes a struggle for them to read the sign.
Which is why I think on the sign it has like a little man sitting down, a little man standing up.
Okay, yeah.
And I know it's a like little man. I mean, like stick figure. And that's the one of like that's the easiest way to do that. You solve that problem instantly. It's like, do you need to stand up or do you need to sit down?
Yeah.
This bathroom, like one bathroom has urinals, one bathroom has toilets. Done.
Yeah, that is quite a nice solution, and I see a lot of the time now it's just like either the stick figure, if they want to do stick figure, it's like a half of the man figure and half of the woman figure just slapped together to be like one person.
Which looks really ugly.
And then I've seen others where it's just toilet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Toilet.
Shitter pisser.
Yeah.
I just like the one. I think I've seen it. It's like on a bar in America somewhere, and just like this, there's a paper sign on the door that says "the shitter." That's all you need. Like that's the thing. You're going like no one's going in there for a conversation. You're going in there for one of two reasons.
Oh
Maybe
man.
like three, maybe four.
So the question
There's a
is,
couple of
Karl,
things you go into a bathroom for.
I'm sure you have. But have you had like the moment where somebody you don't know has tried to engage you in conversation through the stalls?
Not through the stalls, but I've had someone try strike up conversation while I'm taking a piss. And normally it's just a
Stood at a
drunk guy
urinal.
just asking, "So, what you up to tonight?" Just having a drink with some mates. Cool. I've never had anyone try and strike up a full conversation. It's normally just that politeness
Hmm.
of them just they feel awkward, so they just like say something out loud.
No,
How about yourself? Have
I
you had
had
one?
I've had one before where just like I was sitting in the stall on the toilet and I
Doing your
just see
business.
like to the right of me like someone walk around, go into the next stall, see like some shoes and whatnot, and then they just like wiggled the little foot underneath my stall. And I was like, I don't like this. I'm gonna sit perfectly still.
Yep.
I'm not gonna react to this whatsoever. Ignore it. This is weird as fuck. Uh,
Please stop.
and then just a man's voice was like, "Oh, you're right, mate." I'm like, yeah. "Oh, how you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Fine." I just got out as quickly as I could.
Yeah.
Like, fucking go, go,
I
go.
don't need this in my life. The only time that's ever been good is like in the Austin Powers movie where it's Austin Powers getting attacked on the toilet.
Yeah.
And that is like a full 45-minute build up to this because you have Dr. Evil say that his number two is called number two. And then they send an assassin after Austin Powers. So he's on the toilet strangling an assassin. So you can hear him struggling, just saying, "Who does number two work for?" And the guy next door's like, "Yeah, you show that turd who's boss." And just the idea of the supportive man, like being like, "Yeah, you show that turd who's boss."
Yeah.
We all need that hype man. We all need that poo hype man in our life. Because there's been
Oh
those
god.
times in my life where like, I need a hype man. I need someone to like, walk me through this.
I was recently just like doom scrolling on Reddit and
Oh
saw one
god.
of those
Well, that's all
ones.
Reddit is now, isn't it?
It is, but like, I follow a few of the ones like where it's just like, oh, make me smile and stuff like that. Trying to avoid the negativity and just look at the positive ones, like the animal posts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just saw one where it's like these, kids that look like them in like preschool, kindergarten kind of age, and they're going through like, how do you spell this word? And it's like the one kid's spelling it, and there's another kid just getting so hyped for him. Like, yes, you can do it, man. You can do it.
That's great.
And it's so cute. It's
I
like
love
we need
stories
that.
like it's like those stories you hear every time they do spelling bees because there's no way you can improve at spelling. Like they have the huge, I think it's the script spelling bee every year,
Mm,
and every year they get more and more winners because kids are now just so good at spelling that
right.
they run out of words for them to spell. And I think one year they had like 7 joint winners because there's just like, well, these kids they've spelled everything flawlessly. There's nothing they can't spell because once like with spelling, it's ironically a numbers game. And once
Mm.
you know the rules for all the words, there's no word they can really introduce to catch you out. And they
Just
realize that.
ask them how to spell necessary. That one always fucks me up.
Never eat cress, eat salad sandwiches, and remain young.
God damn it! Why did you have one for that?
I remember that one. I still say that in my head every time I write necessary.
Yeah,
Only because big elephants can't always use small exits. Because
I've
that was the
never
word
struggled because.
I always struggled with that. That was the one that held me up on my spelling test as a kid. But when they have those like script spelling bees, you always have the kids getting really excited and they like shake each other's hand and cheer and split the prize money and the prize 7 ways.
Mm.
And then you always get like weird adults going, well, they don't really win in other. Because well, they did. It's just that 7 other people were exactly as good as they are. It's like if you're doing the 100-meter dash and everyone else on the finish line all finished at the exact same time. You're all winners because you're all equally as good as everybody else.
That just happened in the Olympics, didn't it?
Did it? 'Cause I've not been watching much of the Olympics.
Well, there was two high jumpers that I saw like the clip getting shared around of like they got the exact same high jump high score. I don't know exactly how high jump works, but yeah, they were both
You
tied
jump
for
really high,
first.
generally.
Yes, yeah. And they were both tied for gold, and they were like, right, do you want to do like a jump off for
Not
gold?
now.
And they both just went, can we both get a gold? And they went, yeah, sure. And they both just celebrated on the podium together
Yeah,
and both got
I just get a
gold.
gold. I think there was a time that happened as well. I think it was like first and second got the same time. So I think they split the medals in half and they got a half gold medal, half silver medal and stuck them together. There's a lot of shit like that, like the camaraderie.
Oh, there we
Like
go.
the
Someone in the
camaraderie
chat
and the
saying
Olymp.
like, yeah, there was two Dutchmen that tied in one round in time as well. Like, yeah, it does happen, but I never thought in the Olympics that they could do that. Of just, can we
Well, that's the thing,
both
if
win?
you're both equally as good as each other.
Hmm.
And it's weird to see like people who aren't involved with any aspect of that and have no understanding of how it works, judging them for it. It's like, do you see the one like Simone Biles, where she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I've got an injury, and I do not feel mentally up to doing 18 backflips today because it's so stressful with that much pressure. And
Well,
every single other gymnast in the Olympics, like we understand, because it happens to us.
and
But
that's
then
the
you have
thing
like,
is, not only is like she got to do all those backflips in the Olympic that's stressful enough anyway, she has that reputation of being like the greatest fucking gymnast there is.
yeah,
And she has like I saw that, when people were talking about it, like she's got 4 moves named after her
her,
because she's
and
like
she's won
that
everything.
fucking good. And the amount of pressure to be that dominant in a sport, I
And then all the
respect her
people
for
shitting
having the
on her.
balls to just leave.
But then there's like all the weird people who don't understand gymnastics shitting
Yeah.
on her, of like she's
Hmm.
letting her country down. It's like, well, she's not, because she's won like 8 gold medals in the past. She's already
Yeah.
done enough for, like,
Exactly.
American gymnastics. I think she's good.
She's been dominant in it for multiple years and multiple competitions already. She has proven herself, and yeah, at some point she just like turns around like, look, I need to look after myself as well, and I respect
Right.
that.
So it always makes me think of that Serena Williams quote. The amazing quote you asked about Naomi Osaka dropping out of the competition
Mm.
and all the criticism she was getting. Just Serena Williams went, well, whenever I get criticism like that, I just look at the person and think, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And that's what like Simone Biles should do. Everyone who's criticized is like, I'm better than you.
Mm. Oh, I absolutely just despise anyone that just is like, oh no, fuck these like world class athletes
That's the one
who
as
are
well.
at
It's
the
like,
top of their game that can do things I couldn't even imagine. And it's like, oh, what losers?
people criticizing athletes for or celebrating for coming third. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
why are they celebrating getting a bronze? Because there's only 2 people on the planet who are better than they are. That's a pretty big achievement.
Oh god,
It's
yeah.
like, why are they celebrating having there only being 2 people on planet Earth better than they are at this thing?
It's
I
a very
wonder
weird
why.
mentality, isn't it? Because you
Like,
celebrate somebody for being able to make it to the Olympics, to getting to that level where you are a fucking Olympian athlete.
it's being an Olympia means you're like by default better, or by definition better than everyone in your country.
Apart from, the 3 other teammates you might have, or
Yeah.
whatever it is in that sport. And yeah, the idea that it's like, oh, how dare you only be the third best person in the entire world currently at this thing?
And it's weird as well, like all the people leveling that criticism are like the weird people with Trump avatars and Confederate flags. It's like, I thought you liked supporting like runner-ups and losers. So strange.
But
But oh
I like that's the thing is I remember, for example,
yes.
when we were like I streamed like Resident Evil 2 like casual speed run. It's like, oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
nearly made it into like the top 100. It's like, that would have been so cool, like top 100 and like
Yeah.
in a certain rank of a certain mode of a certain speed run of a game. Is that just take the win? Like just the fact that you're better than a lot of people or something. You don't need to be the greatest in the world.
Yeah, it's like any like just even just improving, even if the only person you've beaten is yourself.
Yeah.
If you you beat your own like record or your personal best, which is why in the Olympics they always put personal best. And you
Yes,
have
that's a
athletes
massive fucking thing.
because it means you're better than you were the last time you performed at your peak. It's
Hmm.
great.
Oh god, yeah. Too many like losers just shitting on people for only being like one of the greatest people in the world at something.
It's always baffling when it's the Olympics though, because like these are people at the absolute pinnacle
Yeah,
of their
exactly.
field. Like these are like what the closest we will ever get to perfect humans.
It's like, yeah, but they were worse than that one guy. Like Greg, right?
There's one person better than that, and
One.
they live on a different continent, which means that in 99.99% of their daily interactions, they're better at this thing than everybody else they encounter.
I think that they're probably the best person in their entire country.
Yeah.
If they've come third, I
In any given
presume.
moment, they're like better than everyone for 1,000 miles around them,
Yeah.
except for when they're at the Olympics. The one like caveat is when they're at the Olympics, and even then, it might be up for debate,
Hmm.
like based on the things. That's what I love about the Olympics, where it's like jokes. It's down to like thousandths of a second.
Yes.
Like stuff like the wind can affect it.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
And I just want there to be like a guy do like super windy day, just run in with like a giant big flag on his back.
Like, can you imagine the difference in times when it's like a marathon runner going against a headwind compared to getting a backwind?
Or if you're like running on a crap road.
Yeah, yeah. The difference it must make to have that wind pushing you forward for what the best part of 2 hours
Yeah.
while you're running 26 miles like that builds up very quickly.
Well,
It's like when you like, for example, strafing behind cars and vans and stuff.
yeah, it saves those few couple of like seconds here and there.
Yeah, and gives you
All
that
adds up.
little bit of like boost and stuff. Yeah, like and even helps with like fuel economy and shit because your vehicle is having to make less effort to move forward, and it's tiny improvement. But when you make that tiny improvement for an hour, it builds up.
Well, that's why you have like thousands and thousands of pounds being spent by like F1 teams,
Mm.
where they're like, we're spending thousands of pounds to shave grams off of these Formula One
Points of
cars.
grams, yeah.
Yeah, like taking paint and stickers off. Like, I think one of like the not the newest, but like a really big jump in like Formula One technology is when they figured out like a lighter kind of paint for painting
Oh,
branding on their vehicles. So obviously
yeah.
they have to have branding on it. It used to be stickers, and the stickers, as like as minor as it is, they do detract from like the aerodynamic quality of the car.
And they will also add slight amount of weight.
Yeah, and it's like when you get to the point where the weight of a fucking sticker is something that you take into account. It's like that's it.
Yeah.
That's the one. Oh man, I'll still never forget that time when just out of nowhere, F1 just in the rules went, okay, you can't refuel. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay,
I
so there
don't
used
pay
to be a
too
rule.
much attention to F1,
Okay,
but
well, there was a rule. I remember I watched the F1. Just like my mate is really into the Grand Prix. I watched it on
mhm,
the day this rule came into effect. So previously, the rule was you could refuel as many times as like not as many, but a couple of times per race.
mhm.
So some manufacturers of cars and some teams deliberately didn't build fuel tanks that could hold enough fuel to get around the track
Because then
because
it lowers the weight, I presume.
yeah, because the car is like lighter, and some cars would even start with like a half full tank because
Mhm.
the car's lighter and they get better laps. And then when they replace the tires, they would also fill the car with fuel. And then one year, the F1 governing body just went, no, you're not allowed. You have to have a full tank at the start because it's there's too much differentiation in weight.
Mhm.
And then I remember watching it with my mate, and he told me about it. He said, so what does that mean? He went, just watch. And then like half an hour later, this car started stopping just because they had no fuel, but they still had to drive because they wanted to get a decent lap time at the
Mhm.
very least. But they just, oh. It's like, why would they do that? What was these cars cost millions of pounds, and they couldn't make the change of putting a bigger fuel tank on it because obviously everything is built to like the most minute specifications possible.
Yeah,
And I just found that really funny. That just 1 year, it's like fuck it, you can't refuel between laps anymore. These cars are stopping
that's
middle of
amazing.
race.
I still can't really wrap my head around the fact that until recently, F1 was just pay to win.
Oh, basically, yeah.
Like there was no limit of the amount of like money you could spend on like the tech and the car and stuff, and it's like, oh, so whatever team has the most money wins then.
Yeah, that's why you'd see like the previous rankings, like Ferrari won everything because they just
Yeah,
put
and
the most
then
money
like
into it.
yeah, Red Bull for a long time, like whoever put the most money into the car just wins.
Because yeah, eventually, just it'll just fly around those corners, just carried by nothing but the hopes and dreams of all the investors.
Well, that's the hope, isn't it, Carl? That one day we get to F-Zero and the
If
cars are
they
just
put enough,
floating.
if they have you ever seen that thing though, where it, Formula One cars are so aerodynamic and so like machine perfected in their purpose of driving really fast and sticking the car to the road, it is theoretically possible for those cars to drive upside down.
Because
Like
the amount of downforce that they
they generate at
provide.
max speed is enough for them, and they're so light that they could drive upside down, but they'd have to be at max speed when they did it, which means that it is theoretically possible to build loop the loops on Formula One tracks. If we ever get drivers who are hardcore enough to pull it off,
Oh
because they
fucking hell!
generate so much downforce that they could drive upside down at max speed, which means we could get Formula One tracks in the future that go upside down.
Like just do what F-Zero did of every now and then. Just add like a perfectly cylindrical tunnel, and you just dip into the tunnel. Whoa!
It could work.
Can you imagine the crashes though,
That's
Carl?
that's the one though. It could like on paper it
On
is
paper,
feasible.
yeah.
And if we ever got to a point where, like Joe, when they were doing virtual races, Like during lockdown, they had they had
Yeah.
Formula One drivers driving on virtual tracks in virtual rigs.
Mhm.
And they've got self-driving cars and stuff like that, and robot cars. We could theoretically have a future where we could have driverless cars, with some professional driver in a seat somewhere by the
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
driving that. And in that situation, you could start putting dangerous shit like that in. And that's why I want self-driving technology to get better, because I selfishly want us to have Destruction Derby.
I just want to see F-Zero happen.
Yeah, I selfishly want all racing to be me when I'm playing racing games, which is just crashing into person in first place.
If you can tell me that we can get to a point where we can do an F-Zero style 99-person death race,
Yes.
and like there's nobody actually dying, just the cars floating above a giant city and hurling into buildings and exploding, apparently. That's
Just
what
think,
happens in F-Zero X.
would you think, battle bots and
Mm.
robot wars?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, but they're racing around a track.
Yeah.
And I think they even have that. They have remote control car races now. Just make the cars full size
And hover.
if you want to.
I
If you go
want to.
fast enough.
I want to, Karl.
And then just start putting shit on the tracks.
Yeah,
Just start putting ramps and shit.
give people boost power.
Because that's the way. Do you know, when horse racing, they have the steeples for the horses to jump over. Why don't we have that for cars?
Oh god.
Just have the ramps. Like, do you know what, Motorstorm?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got shortcuts, but the shortcuts are really dangerous.
Yeah.
Then, because if there's no one in the car, the only risk is to the bottom line of whatever company bought the car.
And that's still one that gets me of like the video game Split Second, where they made the premise of the game was like it's a TV show where they all race and they've built up like destructible environments and traps in the environment for you to trigger.
So people at home get, and it's about
So
entertaining the audience,
people,
isn't it?
yeah, so it's like a really fast-paced race in all these supercars, but at the same time you can like press a button to demolish a building to like fall onto your opponents and then change the track. And it's all like, oh, because it's a TV show, it's all paid for, and we've set it all up that way.
Yeah.
God.
And it's
Yeah.
pay per view. It's like, oh god, what was I going to say now? There was an idea a couple of years back where like Detroit, because Detroit's just really, really run down. Like, I think it's like it went bankrupt famously a few years ago.
I think like
It
yeah, a
was
lot of just the trade disappeared from the city, didn't it?
it was cheaper to buy like an entire city block in Detroit than it was to buy a house in some other cities and states. And there were legitimately plans from some companies to buy an entire city block and turn it into a paintball arena.
Oh my god.
Because you always have like paintball, it's like you got to drive to the middle of fucking woods.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
got to run around the woods. Like, we can buy an entire city block in Detroit, and then you can just go for a paintball fight there.
That'd be
Like, you can.
awesome.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And then they were thinking like doing like zombie experience. Do you know when zombie experiences were a thing?
Mm.
And people always say like, I want in the general like you run through like an abandoned mall and it's really boring. It's like, no, you've got an entire city to have like an all-day paintball fight against zombies and paid actors, and that'd be incredible. But like, no, those ideas never went anywhere because like it was prohibitively expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel they would have just been like, the equivalent of escape rooms where people do it once and then never again.
Well, Karl, I'll tell you that that's not true because I've been to many escape rooms and like I think it's just one of those. Like, I did it once, but I did it once with like 8 different groups of people,
Oh, okay,
and then
then.
I also got taken to one for like a work day out and stuff like that.
They came out of nowhere, got really, really popular, and I never once saw the appeal.
They're quite fun. Like it's essentially just similar thing of like playing a puzzle game.
But for me, it's because I never saw an escape room place that didn't look shady as fuck. They
Oh
always
right,
seem to
okay.
come out of nowhere and be like really shady. And I always found myself thinking like, this popped up too fast to be good.
Hmm.
I don't reckon there's like enough effort being put into whatever's inside to justify like 30 quid.
Yeah, yeah. The last thing is, I think a lot of those are just quick. This trend is happening.
Cash the
Let's
fuck in.
let's do this as minimal effort as quickly as possible.
The minimum effort escape room.
And I've been to ones that are very like high effort as well, and they're really fun. Like ones where like, oh, you have a room and then like you open up a secret back door that goes into like a giant bank vault and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff, like when they do it really well, is really cool.
And I can see it being fun, but I just like for me, living in like a city where there's multiple places in Sheffield with escape rooms, and they all look shady as balls. They
Mm.
all look like the kind of place that I just don't want to go. And they're always like next like discount shops and stuff like that. And it's like I remember when this was like a cash converters.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
much can you have really turned this? How much you converted this cash converters to make it into an escape room? I don't think I want to have a Harry Potter escape room experience in a like bombed out cash converter
Oh god.
that you've turned into an escape room over the course of like 3 weeks.
At least they made it a place you want to escape from, Carl.
That's the one. Just like all they need to do is just put you in an empty shop and lock the door.
To be fair though, like the idea of being trapped in a shopping mall.
Always one of my dreams.
Yeah,
I've
I'd love that. Just you have like, you get locked in, but you have unlimited access to all the shops.
one of my dreams. I don't think I'll ever get to realize, but it's always in my head is to ride a bike through a mall.
Okay.
There's just something about like Joe, just how big and open and clean everything is. I just like the idea of just riding a bicycle through a mall.
Like an empty mall, I presume you
Just
mean.
an empty mall, yeah.
Yeah. I was
Just
going to say, it's
just going
real
around.
easy to ride a bike through a mall, Carl.
It is, but it's
But
dangerous.
there's also going to be like fucking thousands of other people anyway.
Yeah, I've just always wanted to do that. It's one of those life experiences that I've just wanted to do, and I don't know why. It's an idea that seems soothing and calming to me.
It's like, would it be worth it if you had to fight off like 53,897 zombies or whatever is in Dead
Well, that's where it
Rising?
comes from. It comes from the original Dawn of the Dead, where they just have like a montage of all the stuff they're doing, and
Hmm.
one of them is just a guy riding around the mall on a bicycle.
Yeah.
And I've always just thought it looked really, really fun, and I've always wanted to do it. And it's one of those things that one day I will. One day I'm gonna know the right person, or I'm gonna say it in a video, and someone's like, "Well, I'm a security guard at a mall. If you give me 100 quid, I'll let you in." So that's why I mention it every now and
If
again,
you get the chance, Carl, like, don't forget to bring me along, please.
just in case there's someone out there who has access to that resource and wants me to join them.
So if anyone is in a position to do that, yeah, like help us out, people.
I will join in. I will do that. I will come.
That'd
You
be
have to.
awesome.
I also need someone to borrow me a bike because I don't have one.
I need to remember how to learn to like. I need to remember how to ride a bike.
Do you not ride a bike?
I I learned to ride a bike when I was younger, and I forgot how to ride a bike.
This is what we need to test because apparently you never forget how
I
to ride a
forgot
bike.
how to ride a bike. I can attest to that
So we need to film Lucas riding a
because
bike.
I remember when I was in high school, like the first time I went on a first date with a girl, she was like, "Oh, we can just go for a bike ride. Like, you can borrow my dad's bike or whatever." I was like, yeah, sure. Like, do you know how to ride a bike?" I was like, "Well, they say you don't forget, so I'll be all right." Hopped on a bike, fell off, nearly broke my ankle, and was like, "Right, this is embarrassing." Then,
That did happen to me with swimming though.
oh, you forgot how to swim.
Didn't forget how to swim, but I forgot how to kick my legs. Do
Okay.
you know, like the cadence of
Right,
like
yeah.
when you do front crawl, you have to like kick opposite. It's
Mm.
like patting your head and rubbing your belly sort of thing. Just that I couldn't figure it out, so I just kicked at the same time as I splashed. So I went in a
You
circle for about
flailed.
so I went in a circle for like 5 minutes,
Oh god.
and that's
Yeah.
the way I did it.
I mean, it's not about a mall being bike accessible. It's about the fact that it's an empty mall as well.
Yeah, it's the experience. It's just one of those things. It's very surreal.
Hmm.
It's like everyone has those like weird things they want to do.
I think a lot of people would agree that like, there's a lot of TV show kind of like things that I think there's a Simpsons episode where like Bart and Milhouse get
Yeah,
trapped
trapped
in a
in a mall. Yeah.
mall and they go
It's
to
not even
like the
about going
sweet
into the
shop.
mall. It's just this the surface of the mall floor. I just feel it'd be very satisfying. So have you ever had that moment where you're trying to bike out in Toys R Us?
Uh, Probably like when I
Yeah,
was younger, yeah.
but you never get to go very fast. That's what I
No,
want.
and it's just one of those things of like, part of me would love to do that. I'd go to a Toys R Us and dick about on the bikes, but then being an adult and being a considerate person, I'm like, oh, you just cause so much fuss for the employees.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
So do you ever have the urge sometimes, like just to run really fast?
Every now and then, yeah.
Do you ever get that? Yeah, and it's like you don't want to do it 'cause you're in the middle of town. But like sometimes when I'm in the middle of town, I think I want to just run really fast through town
Mm.
just to see how fast or jump.
Yeah, yeah.
Like sometimes when I see a wall, I want to climb up that, see if I can, and I don't because I'm not generally dressed for doing it. You know, it's something that I'd probably be like,
And the amount of shame you'd feel like if you failed getting up the wall and there's just
yeah,
10 people around you just looking at you.
watch me try and climb. Sometimes I just want to climb a tree, or, like
Mm.
run real fast, but we can't do that. But Lucas, speaking of, like just being shamed into stopping,
Okay.
let's stop the podcast now because I know you've got other stuff to do.
I do, yes.
So, Lucas, do you have anything to like to plug?
Yeah, I'll just I guess talk through the normal plug that I talk about. But yeah, so you can don't forget you can send questions to us for like the question podcast that we do
Yes.
every now and then, the extra bonus episodes that we do.
When are we doing one of those next?
I don't know,
How
but
many questions do we have
we haven't
left
had
for?
much of a wave of emails come in apart from when like the last episode went live and people remember, and we do forget to plug it sometimes. So yeah,
Like we did
just
last week.
send questions to Karl's Corner QA at gmail.com. If you're like on the podcast version of this, then you can find it in the link.
Yeah, so it's
in the
Karl's
description.
Karl Corner Corner.
It's Karl's
QA.
Corner.
Karl's Corner. Okay, so KARLS
CORNERQA at gmail.com.
Yes.
So those are for the yeah.
That's why I don't know the
Q&A
phonetic
podcast.
alphabet too well.
The Q&A podcast at the moment, the 2 episodes that have gone live, will be on podcast services. Because
we're on all of them now, don't we? Still get that now. We announce the podcast. It's like, is it on this yet? It's like, yes.
Yeah.
But no one listens to it. But people still complain that it's not on these
people still
services.
complain at us that it's not on Apple Podcasts now, that it is on Apple Podcasts and nobody listens to it.
Yeah, which means they didn't bother to search for it. So
Yeah.
they didn't do their research before criticizing. Truly an error of the internet.
So one day when we get contacted back by things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts about like potentially having like subscribers and stuff because they don't allow it for everyone, then we'll be putting it
only people who are already rich
on like the subscription stuff as like bonus episodes. But for now, it's just already on there free, and
everyone can listen to them.
Yeah, and in terms of like plugging my own stuff, like you can come watch me stream on twitch.tv/LegendOfKanto. Just do the podcast and then some gaming stuff like Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights. And then I'm on YouTube at Legend of Kanto as well. And I'm actually sorting out, I think for like maybe like next week, I'm going to do like a charity stream.
Okay, cool.
So it's for Save the Children. I just saw it pop up and was like, I might as well try. And what I think I'm going to do, current plan, that's like the idea, is to do like Pokemon Snap stream, like all be chill. Or if somebody donates, they can challenge me to a Pokemon battle on Sword and Shield.
Okay, and what's the date you're doing that?
I think I'm going to be doing it, let me have a look now, Thursday the 12th of August. So it'll be like a week from when people listen to the podcast, and then I'll probably just confirm all the details next podcast.
Okay. You're not mentioned that to me yet, so I'm curious. Am I like invited?
Oh yeah. That was literally just something I haven't had time to speak to you about. You are
okay,
invited.
yeah. Because like speaking of not speaking to each other, like aren't we? Like you might be potentially coming to Sheffield next week to record in person, potentially for the first time, or I might be going through to Liverpool.
Yeah,
based on present circumstances.
Just like figuring stuff out and stuff. So yeah,
so keep an eye out for that.
Be meeting in person. And there may even be a Breath of the Wild return soon.
Yeah.
So there will be soon, but maybe next week.
Yeah, we need to figure out when we're doing that and how we're going to do it because we have a lot of stuff planned, but it's only going to be like 2 days realistically. You can't take too long away from home. Or potentially it'd be like I come visit you and then we do
maybe like we might be able to like squeak in a couple of nights instead or something. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, or I come back through to Liverpool with you for like the Wednesday or something. We get stuff done then.
Yeah.
So we'll figure. But there will be like, potentially the first time in 18 months almost get to stream in person.
Yeah, something along those lines. Because it was like early March in 2020, the last time we got to see each other in person.
Was it? Fucking hell. So that's it's just closing in on like nearly 15, 16 months.
Can't do math. Will be 12 months plus what month are we on? 8. So yeah, 17. 17, there we go, maths. I forgot what month like March was for a second. I was like, is it 3?
So for the first time in 17 months, we'll be able to like do some stuff again. Presumably, we'll do a Smash stream, and we'll do a big announcement on the channel. We're going to start doing some like no more content for the main Fact Fiend channel, just some little silly thing. People might have seen like a short went up the other day. We're going to start doing like Q&A episodes, just like brief, like 20-second clips of people asking us questions. It's specifically in regards to the channel. We're going to have like a bunch of stuff then. It's like slowly bringing everything back. And then if I go through to yours, there'll be similar stuff like we stream, but from yours.
Yeah,
and that's something I want to mention, but I forgot. And I'm not sure if we could, like, if we talk about it after this, but it's like, how are we going to get both of our streams on the same stream if we're in the same location? Because we've basically spent nearly 2 years now building up our own
two
brands,
separate channels, yeah,
where we stream most of the time on the same day together. But how do we both do that if we're both in the same location?
Maybe it might just have to be a case of like one night it's your channel, one night it's my channel kind of thing. So just do like a back and forth and share our audiences.
So I was going to ask, like, do you have a laptop that can stream?
No.
Oh. I do have a spare PC, because that's the thing. Because there's 2 PCs in my house, because there's my girlfriend's PC and my PC. So theoretically, we could have like 2 streams running on that. We'd have to move everything around.
Well, I'll tell you what, Karl, we can have this conversation off the stream.
Off camera. So that's what I mean. But like, we need to figure it out, because one of the ideas I've had is like to have a second webcam set up with your stream on it. Where it is, that's the behind the scenes stream.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to see it from a different angle, so like there's one stream that has the camera on it constantly, and the other one has the gameplay.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's something that we've not had to think about for like 2 years nearly.
No, we haven't.
But we've spent all this time building up our own brands. And it's a bit of a dick move. Like say,
yeah, it's been great for while we've been in lockdown, but it's difficult to then figure out when. But bear with us. We're just figuring it back out.
Just switch streams between each game of Smash. just every time go. Okay, now go to Luke's stream. And I'll raid your stream, then you raid my back, and we keep doing that.
Oh my god. Just pass
we
it
need
back
to figure
something
out. But yeah,
we will figure something.
Look out for that next week.
Hell yeah.
Cheers, everyone.